Hello and welcome back to Shelve Your Boots. I'm Katie, the face behind Shelve Your Boots, and this week we've got the Royal Marines in. So we've got Jim in this week. Welcome, Jim. Thank you for coming on. And if you could do a little intro, Jim, of yourself and your history and where you are today.
Yeah, of course. Well, first, I just want to say thanks for having me on. I love the journey, love what you're building. It's incredible. I think people leaving the military need to hear this stuff because I think it just helps people
Thank
set themselves up in Civvy Street because we don't know what's coming. But for me, yeah, Jim, and I joined the Royal Marines in 2016. I was 24 when I joined. Absolutely loved it. Had a great career. But as we do, circumstances change, kids, family, and I just hit that point where I wanted something a bit different. I wanted to be a more of a stay-at-home dad or full-time dad as opposed to a part-time dad, and that was my sort of decision to leave around this time, sort of last year. And here I am today, running founder of Tier 1 Coaching, which is a military preparation coaching team that help anyone go on to the aspiring Royal Marines or paras or people just tackling arduous courses. So yeah, that's where we are today.
Exciting stuff. So you actually started this while you were in, which I
Mm.
have seen a lot of people. You're not the only Marine that's on this kind of this journey, but I have
Yes.
seen a lot of Army PTIs doing something similar, Navy PTIs doing something similar, because online coaching, I think, thanks to COVID, became quite a big thing. So a lot of them have started to evolve into that space. How did you find um, sort of building that? Because I've heard very mixed stories. Some units are really supportive, some aren't,
Yeah.
and had their own little sort of journeys with it.
Yeah, great question. Okay, so before I joined the Royal Marines, I obviously joined quite late, so I was 24.
I was the
Yeah,
same
24
age,
when I joined.
24, not the Marines, but I was the same age, 24.
Yeah, yeah. So joined not late, but quite late in that sense. But before I joined, I'd always been in the fitness industry. The classic, um, boot neck that didn't do very well at school, but always just wanted more and wanted to push myself. And I found that sort of down the fitness industry, went into like, the PTing world and a sports science degree and all that stuff initially. Then I joined the Royal Marines, not for the classic. Probably everyone says they want to go to war and they join to fight this country. Of course, there was an element of that, but I think for me, it was actually more about like challenges. Like, let's do the hardest thing and let's see if we can do it. Let's test myself.
It's like the
And
ultimate
then,
test, really, for a PT, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. And then I guess for me, I think my training team when I was a recruit was like, recruit ready, you are going to be a PTI, aren't you? And I was like, nah, definitely, I'm going to go down a different route. I want something new. Funny old thing, that was just the path that was destined for me. Everything happens for a reason. And then I was PTI initially. So after, 5 or 6 years, that's the route I went down. And then the preparation, like, I just felt like the standards, although the standards were dropping in the military and the Royal Marines, I think so were the people that were coming in as well. Um, Society changes and all that stuff, of course, but I just think it was just there wasn't the same oomph and drive to what I remember it being. And then, so you see a lot of people failing selection. But then I went and trained as an ERI, exercise rehab instructor. And then in the rehab world, you're seeing so many recruits turning up like injured before they get there. Or like to put a stat in, it's 48% of the recruits in Hunt's company, which is the rehab troop at the time I was there, were in the first 8 weeks of training. Something is falling down. So not only are they not passing the CPC and getting into training, they're getting in and then they're breaking down and getting embossed and all that. And for me, that was like quite a painful thing, like because when you're in a rehab setting, you get invested with these guys, and you want to see everyone do well. And then the patterns were emerging. Uh, Preparation wasn't great. I think there's, like you said, there's a lot of people out there doing this stuff now. Are they doing it right? Have they got the credibility? Have they seen it from? I'm not saying a PTI is that you need to be a PTI to do this, but if you're a PTI and ERI and you can bring in a team of that foundation that's seen it from our eyes, we can definitely get a better foothold in these guys' preparation. And then for, I guess, the entrepreneurial side of me, a lot of people sit there with a problem. I was like, no, I think we can do something about this. Set up Tier 1 Coaching on the side was just a side thing that thought would be a side thing, and then it just the rest is history, if you like. Very long way of, I went on a tangent there, but yeah,
Mm.
hope you don't mind.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it is a very different it is a very different form of fitness, a very different form of sort of way of life. I
Mm,
come from a background of sport ever since school, county level, England level stuff. Um, but I really struggled with military fitness. I was just built differently. I was very much a
yeah,
sprinter, hand-eye coordination, all that stuff. Put boots on me and then put a Bergen on my back. Well, I've never had to do this before.
yeah,
Even sort of running long distance. Yeah, I mean, for us, it wasn't as long as you guys, but even just the basic tests. I would never run consistently a mile and a half, but I would sprint
yeah,
probably 8 miles over 2 hours doing
yeah,
and not think about it. But then it becomes mindset, and it's a whole different kettle of fish. And I think the fitness industry now is geared very differently. I mean, there is a lot more weight
yeah,
stuff, and I think that's really beneficial to a lot of girls getting in the gym and actually lifting weights and being stronger. But then there's an
mm,
explosive and endurance element
yeah,
to fitness in the military that I don't think, like in the civvy side, I haven't seen anywhere else
yes,
really. It's
yeah.
very, very niche.
Yeah, exactly that. And you know what? I don't think that the military do themselves favors as well. Like the marketing campaign and what they invest in is guys that are joining, just keep running, just do body weight, do sit ups, do press ups, do pull ups, and that's all you need. Just do loads of that, right? And there's a certain extent of but that gets your foot in the door. That gets these guys past the CPC, the body weight stuff, the press up, the sit up, the test to get in. That's like the gatekeeper to get yourself in. And then what you said is that robustness, the resilience, the endurance, the things that make the difference is actually where these aspiring Marines or military personnel need to be investing time in, because that's what builds a bulletproof body, as I call it here on the Team Coaching. That's what reduces the risk of injury. And when you get both of those right, I think that's the difference that truly does make a difference.
Yeah, yeah. And I think as well it helps you in your career um
Mm.
be endurant throughout your career, but also
Yeah,
protects you at the end of your career. And I think the issue, and I've seen with myself, I've had 2 knee surgeries, I've got nerve damage and all the rest of it, and I'm not the only one that you're not prepared for that lifestyle. You kind of make the shoe fit through that lifestyle, but then the result of that is long term damage at the end at the other side. I
yeah,
mean, I remember in my first unit, I was in the gym, and he was an LE para, and he said to me, I was probably like a year in, and he said to me, "Don't don't be stupid." He just was like,
yeah,
"Don't be stupid. I've had X amount of knee surgeries because I've
mm,
pushed my body beyond the point I should have pushed it every time, and
yeah,
now I'm fucked."
yeah,
And it
yeah,
was
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah,
first year in, and I was like, "Oh my god." Um,
yeah,
but it is true. It's true, and I think that there's a piece, and hopefully with you guys and the way you set things up, is this piece of looking after yourself throughout and how you condition yourself for that duration of years. It's not just
yeah,
you're going to hit the Olympics and then get a respite, and this is it's just going to keep going for as long as you want to stay in.
yeah. 100%. We all get excited, right? We put the papers in and we join the military. Then we start watching the videos. Then we start seeing that the Royal Marines are absolutely, they're thrashing themselves. They're getting thrashed by PTIs day in, day out. And then exactly what you said. Everyone just thinks do more, train harder, and there's an element of that, of course. But actually, train hard, but let's train smarter because, like you said, it's not an overnight success that we're looking for. It's like it's longevity, it's your career, and I think when you can help people understand that, you can build the foundations up the right way. The bigger the foundation, the higher you can sort of stack that tower. And I think that's what it's about, right? And you said it earlier about the mental state as well. We know in the military, it's a mindset. One of my coaches, Chris, ex bootneck, psychologist, mental performance coach on the T1 pathway. So we dial in this stuff as well because no, no disrespect, but these people join in you don't know what you don't know. You
Yeah.
just sort of see the videos. And then when you get in, you're like, whoa, this is a shock. But if we can help, again, prepare them mentally, that it's a game changer.
Have you found from, I mean, you've come from the sort of the PT world, you went in and
Mm.
coming out, training with civilians now, have you seen a difference in yourself and how you are in the gym now to
Mm.
what you were before you joined? Because I know I certainly have. Do you sort of see that in yourself now on the other side?
Yeah, in what sense? Like,
So
what?
just how you
Uh,
approach things and just how you
yeah.
tackle just fitness in general. Because I sort of, for example, I'll train
Mm.
with a group of girls, and we've got like a gym group that we go in, and I've got a mate of mine who's a trainer, and she's I turn around and sometimes I find her giggling because she's like, I can literally tell you to do anything and you'll do it. There's no back
Yeah.
chat. There's no, oh really. She's like, and sometimes I just see how far I can go before you might say something, and then I start to realize, oh okay, I'm a little bit different now, and that's
Yeah.
not how I
Yeah.
was before. So do you find in now sort of seeing like the young guys coming through and just training in general, do you see that difference now you've
Yeah.
been trained
Yeah.
in that world?
Yeah. Definitely. I see what you're saying. Yeah, like 100%. I think because I had the pedigree for being a PTI, I was a civvy PT, so I always sort of was around, and I'd been PTing for 7 years before I joined, so I sort of knew that civvy mentality, if you like, and then it wasn't until I joined the military and you see the PTIs there, and you're like, whoa, this is a different grade, this is different gears, um, uh, and and you definitely see the difference. Like going back into Civvy Street, you have to know when to turn that on and turn it off because although I don't, most of our clients are all aspiring military personnel, or they're already in and they're tackling arduous courses, all on commander course, P company, special course, whatever it might be. That's where most of our clients are, so they just sort of get it. But we do have a few civvy clients. But they join us for that. They want a little bit more of that that push,
Yeah.
that accountability. Like if you're not turning up and doing the sessions, we're going to ask questions. We're not just going to say, oh, well, the results aren't coming. No, well, that's probably why the results aren't coming. We're going to help dive into that. And I think that's what it's about. And I think you've got to hold yourself accountable as much as they have to deliver that service.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it is one of those processes, isn't it? Once you start and you get it into your mind that you're going to do it, you've
Mm.
got to commit to it 110% because
Yeah,
there is no break. There's no letting off when you're
yeah.
there. There's nowhere to hide, that's for sure.
Mm.
And you've just got to keep going. Um, have you, through training and things, because I've worked with several sort of different Marines,
Mm.
paras, all the rest of it. Um, a lot of them, as you are, were very, very fit to begin with anyway. So once they
Yeah.
start going through the training processes, some of it they do find quite easy.
Mm.
Did you at any point hit that breaking point where you were like, I don't know how I'm going to do this? I don't know how. Because for a lot of us that are kind of normal fitness,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
breaking point where we go, oh God, how am I getting up to this morning? I don't know. But I do find with the fitter guys, that comes a lot later on, and for some people it doesn't even happen until they go for special forces selection. At that point,
Yeah.
that's their breaking point for some people. Was there any kind of point you can see in time where you were like, this might be a bit of a struggle, this might hurt?
Yeah, yeah. So for me, I love challenges, right? And anything physical or anything that's going to test me mentally, like I'm all in. Like absolutely love it. I thrive in that environment. So uh, like had I known what I know now, I'd have definitely trained very differently. Even having 7 years experience as a PT, sports science degree, you don't know what you don't know. And what I know now is I absolutely goosed myself. I got excited. I was one of those that goosed myself before I got into training. And yeah, I turned up the fittest. Yeah, I got the awards and that with the fitness stuff. But as my training journey went increased, and we knew, back then it was 32 weeks of training, guys were getting fitter, guys were catching up, and I was just slowing down. I was one of the older ones in the troop as well, um, uh, and that was frustrating at times because I put so much pressure on myself from the start to maintain that standard. But you can't peak all year round,
Yeah.
and then. For me, but that was my strength, right? The physical side of things, that was strength. Like the soldiering, the tactical aspect. I'd say for me, I've always been a slow learner. Like I can tell me to go and I'll give you 100%, and catch me if you can, kind of thing. But then when it comes to sitting down and learning and start bringing in this tactical side, Raw Man's training is belt fed through. It's like you don't get time to learn. But I'll put in. I'll get it if I get the time to put in the hours. But you don't get time to really understand. So like, I struggle with keeping up with that side of things, and then I put pressure on myself there, and I think that's where I nearly broke down in training a few times, thinking, oh well, I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not. I don't get it. My map reading, skills. It was just like I've got no idea. It took me a lot longer. Luckily, I stuck with the troop. I passed that as an original. But I think had I been back troop for any reason, injury or professional failures, I think that would have tested me. Really would have, because that would have been like, oh, you know, I'm not enough. I think I put too much pressure on myself in that sense.
Yeah. Did you find any of those kind of insecurities sort of creep back as you were leaving and setting this? Because it's quite a big leap, you know, setting up a
Yeah,
business fresh.
yeah.
That's a leap of faith right there as you go. And did any of that kind of creep back in a little bit while it was going on?
Yeah, I'd say so. I set this up in 2023. Was it 23? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 23. We set this up. Sorry, 24, 2024, because we had 2 years coming this year. Yeah, 24. And I didn't really like, I knew there was going to be potential. I knew like what I could bring to this. I was passionate about it. I felt like I was going to do this right, and actually really invest time into people joining. And I knew that was going to be my approach. So I knew it could potentially have legs, but we grew, and we grew so fast. And I think when you're seeing like you just set up a business, and then I was still serving for another year and a bit, whilst balancing this on the side. And I was like, honestly, Katie, I was like, up in the morning, I'd do my training in the morning at 5:30. I'd go and do my day job as an ERI, and then I would be back in the grot working till 11 o'clock. Lunch breaks, any breaks, were just like tapping away on the laptop, programming, and even the guys around me were like, how are you, the socials just went out the window.
Yeah.
But like that, it was, I didn't know I was going to go out and leave, but then it was just one of those things. I think what I found with the military is I thought they'd support this and really get behind it. They were actually quite negative, and that really gave me the leap of faith to go, do you know what? I'm done here. I've got 2 kids at home. I'm working every hour under the sun, and I think it's time to spread my wings and take the leap. And there were a lot of insecurities and a lot of like, what ifs and a lot of, will this work? A lot of pressure in that sense. People almost want to see, when someone's doing so well, there's a lot of people that want to see you fail.
Yeah.
Again, because I like that challenge, I lean into that. That fueled the fire. So I was like, right, well, fucking watch me. That's, come on and show. But even today, that you've got to have a balance there, because that can really knock you, and it sometimes does, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's been the challenges leaving.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's yeah. I've heard varying stories, but the kind of, like you say, almost the negative. Um,
Yeah,
there's almost like this mistrust with it, and I think it
yeah,
comes into, there's no policies around it really. There's no processes, and then sort of military control becomes a little bit wobbly because they don't really know how to manage something like this. And we've spoken about it before, and it just does blow my mind because the more you support it, that person's going to stay in longer, and it was something that was of benefit. I think,
yeah.
military-wise, they're quite slow to the social media ring, but they are starting to use certain individuals that are on the military and sort of bring a following with them. But yeah, it can cause a lot of friction. And like I've said to people before, it does make me laugh when chain of commands do get quite shocked when all of a sudden you become stubborn, and it's like, you've trained me to be stubborn, and now
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
shocked that I'm being stubborn about it, and I'm just going to
yeah.
take my hat and leave, and do it anyway, because they've added fuel to the fire almost, by being that way, and it the logic of it, I don't think I'll ever really understand, of where they're coming from. But for me, it feels like a missed opportunity for them to really put a shine on sort of the family, and on what they create, to be that support
100%.
network.
I, I think in my world, so as a PTI, so I wasn't the first to jump on this wagon, right? There's a lot of my hierarchy that were against me doing it. We're doing it. Funny old thing, that, isn't it? Um, for me, where look, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't bring the attention on me, because my first video on Instagram, I went all in, Katie. I was like, right, if I'm going to do this as anything, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it properly, right? We're going to do it right. And I stood there in my slacks, white vest, and hit play, and was like, look, I'm Jim, founder of Tier 1 Coaching, blah, blah, blah. And the rest is history. This is what we do. We're a team. Well, it was me at the time, Royal Marine PTI, who's going to help aspiring Royal Marines prepare for the military. That went out, and wow, that just got eyeballs. Was that part of the master plan? That I'd be, although my hierarchy, they just probably don't know this, probably if they listen to this, they'll find out today. Yeah, it was part of the master plan, because I knew that would get eyes on me, but then that was my chance to sit down with the spec advisor and almost pitch the idea, and just say, look, I don't believe the preparation these young lads are getting right now is adequate from people outside of the military that are outside doing this, but actually even in the military, they're investing in what they're investing in now, which is heavily lent into AI. And I said, but my thought process was, well, we can get people serving who can do this a lot better because they're serving today and can help this. So I sat there and said, look, I could definitely help with this. I don't have to, not expect to be paid by the military. I already get paid, but allow me to do this, lean into the business, and I can use this as a bit of a recruitment tool. It was almost like, it was like, oh, okay. And we were sitting there and he was taking notes. Okay. So what you're saying, Jim, is you could give what you've built. This happened in the space of about 8 weeks. I was already in front of, spec advisors. What you've built and how you're building things, you could sort of give over to the display team, the ones that are recruiting. Well, no, I'm not just going to give them the product I built, but I will help that. I'll help that. And as long as I get a slice of the pie and I can continue coaching and doing my thing, look, we can work in tandem. And then what happened then is, because I didn't say the classic, yes, I'll do that, I'll jump at that. They got someone else, I won't go into names, not going to name drop, but there was another PTI that was called a name, and then he was the Royal Marine face of the recruitment, and and then everything was just against Tier 1 coaching. I was in meetings nearly every week with OCs. I had to write the permission up to the colonels, and people were. I got threatened, legal suits, Navy legal. We're going to come and shut the business down. Luckily, I had all my fast, everything squared away. We're doing this legal. I've got all my documents. I've got all my law stuff in place. Yeah, let's go. Let's take this to the cleaners, because although I wasn't allowed to do things in rig and that, and absolutely everything then was in Tier 1 coaching rig. That became a problem, and then something else became a problem, and it was fueled by jealousy. The bottom line is, people are out there doing it. And not saying, look at us, we're great, we're the best. No, we just did it better. I just invested in this a little bit more. I went for it. And there was hierarchy that was trying to shut my business down that are still out there doing it today. But it's okay for them to do it. So that's where my frustrations came into it, if you like.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens really when people end up in these spaces, and variety of spaces, your space, my space, people I've spoken to. It all comes about because of the experiences we've had, and you've lived the job, you've done the job, you've seen the injuries as a result of the job, and had to deal with that, firsthand. And so you get this kind of fire in you that says, no, this isn't good enough. It needs to be better. So we stand up
Yeah.
and we do stuff and try and make things better for the next generation, the next person that walks through the door. And then we're met with this resistance constantly of that change isn't good. You can't be doing that. You can't be. But it's, I think for a lot of us, we've seen it with our own eyes, and
Yeah.
it's not good enough. And so I can't sleep at night. I don't know about yourself, but I can't sleep at night letting it continue without doing at least something. It might only help one person, but at least it's helped something,
Yeah.
someone, somewhere not have an issue, and for yourself, like helping people, prevent injuries, costing more money long run, NHS time, doctors' time, surgeons' times, because people have prepped for it properly and not just annihilated themselves over 10, 15, 20
Yeah.
years and,
Yeah.
broken at the end of it.
Yeah. Exactly that. I think a one size fits all program will take someone so far,
Yeah.
right? But not everyone will respond the same to that pre-built program that's been built by AI or whatever the tech company that's running it. That might work for some people. I can guarantee that if we look at the stats, if we go back to the people at Hunter Company, the people failing these courses, but it's not doing a very good job. So then, why are we not tailoring programs to people? Well, that's going to cost the MOD money. It's probably unachievable. Let's be honest, that's unachievable. But when you've got someone out there that has got the credibility and can definitely push this, I don't know why the military don't lean into it. I mean, it's a great recruitment tool. The growth of the tier one coaching, has been huge, and the social media interaction. And I'm only pushing out stuff that's helping
Yeah.
people to be in a better place when they start, or to go onto these courses and pass them.
Yeah.
But again, it's just fueled by. I think everyone in the military says, "Go on, I want to see you do well. Go outside. Good luck to you. I want to see in 5 years' time. Everyone wants to see you do well." Uh, I don't believe that. I think there's your close friends, your circle. Yeah, they thrive with that. They'd love to see you do well. But the majority of people in the military, this whole brotherhood, there is a brotherhood. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying there's not, but you've just got to watch your back, because I think people are very quick to, from those that want to see you do well, but then they snake behind you and they actually don't. They want to see you fall flat in your face. It became apparent for me when I left, for sure.
I think I found that very similar, that there is a cohort usually within that leaving it reminded me very much of school and when people started talking about universities and
Mm,
the snobbery of what university people
yeah.
wanted to go to. I didn't go to uni, and a lot of people stopped talking to me because I didn't go to uni, because they all were
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"We're going to go to university." And as I came out this time, it reminded me of the same thing, because everyone was looking to see what job you've got and where you've gone, and
Yes.
have you gone to the JP Morgans or the Barclays, or have you gone to some, not Canary Wharf? And there was a real snobbery of you could tell people were watching and waiting, and like I say, only then the close people actually want to see you succeed, and then I find reach out and want advice and help. But especially with the Marines and sort of the PT side of things, and this whole side of the business, again, it
Mm,
still baffles me. But like, especially with the Marines, they have a standard, and you wouldn't be a
yes.
Marine without that standard. There is a very much a rubber stamp that if you're wearing that badge, regardless of when you served, the
Mm,
people, around you, you could bump into at the pub or the gym or whatever, no, you're of a quality and of a standard of you know, military personnel. That's
yeah.
it's a very tight unit. It's a very tight cohort. I mean, I saw a guy a few weeks ago, and he was in his 50s, and he was wearing a Royal Marine like zippy. And
Yeah.
I
I'm
asked
over.
him, when he left. He said, "You never leave. You never leave." I was like, "Okay, when did you stop wearing
Yeah.
the beret then?" He was
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
like in the 90s or
Yeah.
something. But it is a very tight, and so it becomes a little bit frustrating on my side to see that kind of henpecking going on,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
is it's probably one of the tightest brotherhoods
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
military, the Marines.
It blew my mind, Katie. I was exactly the same. I was thinking, everyone's going to be so, as I am. I love, and I genuinely love seeing someone leave and do well. I think it's great. There's nothing better because we're not in the military forever. And I think it's great when you see someone set something up or they go into the job they want, the dream job, and it just works out. Like, brilliant. Good on them. And I thought everyone was that same mindset. But I, because I think, because like you said, we hold ourselves to a standard, it's very competitive. Everyone's, we are all sort of competing. The brotherhood is about competing against each other because we're all leveling up together. How can, my oppo here, how can I do, one up him for him then to one up me? And you're always in competition. That's kind of what I felt like it was all fueled by, like, because there were so many people setting up business on the side. There was a bit of this over here, a bit of that. Some people doing really well, some people doing okay, some people just never found their feet with it. I think I did. I was one of those that leaned into it, and I was prepared to put in the work. Even when I was going home with the kids, I was still working on weekends, and it was challenging, right? But they're just people that don't really. They see you do well, and they go, "Why not? Why not me? Why am I not? Why am I not? Why is my business not taking off?" And then that jealousy just comes a part of it. That's what I saw. Unfortunately, not with everyone, and it doesn't leave a bitter taste in my mouth. If anything, I thank them because, like, the hate is out there. They fuel my fire. And this wouldn't be here today and doing what we're doing and the incredible results we're having with people joining the military and people going on Arduous courses if they hadn't pushed me and fueled my fire from the start. So every day I wake up going, yeah, it's another day to keep pushing, to let the haters keep watching, and to keep providing the stuff we're doing and getting the results we're getting. And that's what it's about.
If you hate me and viewing me, you're still views, so it's fine.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
Looking back, you're gonna get guys and girls, listening, thinking, I do want to set up my own business. What, especially while they're in, what piece of
Yeah.
advice would you give someone who's looking to make that step and set themselves up ready to leave?
Yeah. Good question. I want to sit with this for a second. I think so many routes to go down. Okay, yeah, the first one that we just spoke about it in great detail is people are going to love you or hate you, right? It really doesn't matter. You need to put the blinkers on and you just need to go for it. You just need to believe in yourself and back yourself. And when you get that belief and that want and that desire, that's the first part of the journey. That's what you need. The second part, invest in yourself. Just like these people that are joining the Royal Marines or doing, whatever, invest in yourself. The best investment you'll make is in yourself because when you start investing in yourself, like you can learn from people, business mentors. I've worked with business mentors from the start. There's no secret with that. That's probably why part of the success we've had is because I invested in myself very early. It cost a bomb, and it has, but the investment's paid off because I believed and I put the blinkers on. I invest in myself, and know you're gonna. Nothing's ever linear. Training in the gym is not linear. Your bank balance is never linear, right? Everything has its ups, everything has its downs. But I do believe life happens for you, not to you. And take those down moments when it gets hard, when you have, because you're setting up a business on the side, whatever you're doing, it's going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take a year just to get your foot off the ground. Just keep leaning into it, even those hard times. And when you come out of those challenges, you've gone up another level. Yeah, so you've always like peak and valley, peaks and troughs, as we say in the military, and just sticking with it, because great results aren't built overnight; they're built over time. And I think if you get those like four parts of the puzzle right, and you really just turn off the noise around you, if you've got to get on social media and stand up in front of the camera, I look back to my first video, rubbish, but love it because that was the first video I did.
Yeah.
Right, and you can just look back at that and go, wow, look how far I've come. I go back to my first client. Look at where we are now. It's testing, but it's so rewarding if you just stick with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sort of listening to you as well, I think from what I see. I think get your ducks in a row. Just
Mm,
be be
you
prepared.
do.
You might have to dig in a little bit and get your ducks
Yeah.
in a row. And like you
It,
say, back yourself. If you know, I think certain times people are very good at trying to get that little earworm that says you're not going to do it, and
yeah.
ignore it, back yourself, and just what, if you want to do it, go for it, and really invest in yourself. Um,
It,
it's so important.
100%. And it isn't easy, but as we say in the Royal Marines, right, as we say in the military, um, if it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
Yeah,
Being an entrepreneur is far from easy. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Um, there's a reason for that. If it was easy, everyone would do it. So yeah, you just got to ride the peaks and troughs, and for me as well, apologies to go deep with this, but even when I was leaving the military and 6 months before my TX day, I lost my dad to cancer, and that all happened in the space of 7 weeks as well. So not only was I transitioning out of the military and trying to find my feet there, setting up a business where there was so much hate and people trying to poke their nose in and do what they could to shut it down. And then you lose your dad gets diagnosed with cancer, and then 7 weeks later he's gone. I mean, that was another whole thing. And then it was just like, wow. So the adversities that I had to, not saying, look at me, wow, like, I've look what I've done. But I think that was it just shows that the adversities you'll come through, who knows where it'll go. But if you just keep your eyes on that goal, and you know why you're doing it, and you just use everything to fuel your fire. My dad going, the military, trying to turn this off, and knowing that I was leaving to support my family, my kids, and my missus, and I was going all in. I had no backup plan. Literally just got a mortgage on the house as well, first ever house. So I bought into all these things around me, so it's saying this is a big risk. It's a risk, but if you risk nothing, I truly believe you're risking everything.
yeah. You literally did it all at the same time, all at the
Oh,
same.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was mad.
cowardice.
It, yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, like you say, horrific, would have been absolutely horrific at the time, but I think now you're this side of it, to look back at that.
Mm.
Personally, I'd almost take it as a, well, what else? You could literally throw anything at me now. If you can get through that and still come out the other side and be successful, bring it on. Whatever else,
Bring it on.
there's nothing
Yeah, yeah.
left to almost happen at that point. Um, which is good to hear, because though even one of those things, people find it can derail, and things can go in a completely different direction. Um,
Mm.
but like you say, if you keep that main focus and keep coming back to it, and reminding yourself to see through it, and get through it, I think is a really important thing for people to sort of remember. And because everything can become very loud and very overwhelming through that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah,
It,
it's hard work. Even if it's just a normal trying to find a job and leave, that from that level, and you're right
mm.
up here on that scale with that. So, fair play to you, absolutely fair play to you. Um,
No, appreciate you. No. A true believer of life happens for you, not to you.
yeah,
So many negatives and adversities that I had to overcome. I'm sure you've had to along the way, and I'm sure everyone does. Um, we can, me included, I could have looked at that and gone, "Fucking why me? Why, why are people trying to shut? Why are people poking their nose in now? Why have I lost my dad? Why have I, going outside, and even 6 weeks before leaving, someone's telling me I still have to stop what I'm doing. 6 weeks, but sitting in front of my OC, and it was just that, like, no, fuck you. We're going, and what can I see one of our own go outside and not be able to put food on the table because you're telling me again I can't continue my business. Bonkers. That's what my whole resettlement was for. But going back to life happens for you, not to you. You know, I'd love to have my dad, you know, here today, and I really would. But was that the thing, that it was his time to part ways, so then I could, you know, be the provider for my mum, and, you know, and not the provider, but help out, and, you know, I don't know. I don't know, you know, I don't, but I try and take the positives out of everything, you know, where the military pushing me down so much, you know, fuel for the fire. Would I have been, I truly believe I would have been as motivated, and I would have made it all work out. But that fuel for the fire for me was just like everything I needed.
Yeah.
So I think if you lean into that, it's a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. I've spoken to a few people about, running businesses on their own, and just whether
Mm,
they're doing it in the military or just as a normal civvy running a business on their own. How did you? Because you have like a team now, but initially you were
yeah,
on your own doing this. You've got
yeah.
your family as a support, but you're initially on your own. How did you find sort of that transition to basically being self-employed, and the mental aspect of it? Because a lot of people talk about, all of a sudden I'm wearing a million hats that I didn't, and there's some
Mm,
hats I didn't even know I owned at that point, that start
so
to appear, and it's just me. It's just, I've got no
yeah,
one really around me at that point to put ideas about with, or it's all my decision. It's all on me, and there's a lot going on. I know a lot
yeah,
of people find it initially quite a, mentally a big undertaking. How did you find it going from, especially from a team unit that is the Marines,
yeah,
to then, right, it's just me at
yeah.
this point as I'm doing it? That in itself is quite a different world to be
Oh
living
yeah.
in.
Still challenges me today. It truly does. Yeah, up there with one of the hardest things is going from like the very alpha male dominated environment around PTIs and loud, and everyone's having a, you know, a laugh and whatnot, to then just going at home. You know, I left to be at home with the family and to be more present with my kids and that. But the transition from that military life into civvy street, like, I thought, you know, more time with the family, more time to just chill out, more time to spend, you know, doing nice things. Actually, because my mindset was just go, 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 because it was for the time in the military building up to this point, just never could switch off. So I went home and I was still like in that work mode, still got to work every hour under the sun. Um, and it was, yeah, it's like knowing it's okay to slow down. You need to, it's a bit slow to go. But it's partly why I guess again, from going from working around people to now by myself. Although I've got a team, we're all remote, online based.
Yeah.
It's why I try, like it's why I've joined David Lloyd, to get out more, work from a social setting that I see the same people every day. To be around that, it's why again a mentor that I can lean on. You know, because it was challenging. You know, help me through this. Help me. How do you do it? You know, and you ask those questions whenever you're struggling. You've got someone to lean on, and I believe you're an average of the five people you surround yourself, right? So surround yourself with. So it's like surround yourself with the right people, people that can, when you are like having challenges, they've probably gone through the same sort of challenges. If you get with the right people, and just asking questions, there's no silly question, and be open to some insecurities. Like we're all learning. We all fake it till we make it. It's okay. Failure's feedback, right? It's what you do with it next that allows the growth. So still not cracked it. Still not cracked the code,
Yeah.
but leaning into it is what I'd say.
Yeah.
The military doesn't set you up very well. I think for people that go self-employed, for people that want to set up their own business, what I noticed during my resettlement is there's nothing really there to support that. You just have to do it and learn on the job,
Yeah.
like everything. Whereas I think majority of people transition from the military into what's the buzzwords today? You know, project management,
Oh
or
yeah.
on the oil rigs, or you know, they're the classic CP, right? They're the
Cyber.
buzzwords that everyone's doing. Yeah, cyber. Um, so like when you go out and do the different thing, it's like, oh right, no one really knows how you support you. I tried to lean into that. I tried to ask the military, have we got mentors there that can help? And it was just not a lot. I didn't get much support there whatsoever. But I don't hate on that. Just have to find your own feet, right?
Yeah. what I'd love to see in that transition period is
Mm.
a course that is for
Hmm.
sort of
Yeah.
self-employed tax, how you go about it, because on this side of the fence, there are so many veterans, ex-military, that have set up their own businesses and
Yeah.
are really successful. Because the
Mm.
mindset of a lot of military people is, am I fuck going to be told what to do by anyone else? I'm
Yeah.
gone and I'm doing it myself and I'm not being told what to do anymore. And that's why a lot of military end up being, self-employed and doing their own businesses, and they're just so successful with it. And like you say,
Yeah.
we've been taught nothing. We all we've been taught is to be stubborn, and we're going to do it, and I'll learn it, and it's probably not going to work, but it's okay. We'll have a plan and we'll try again. And
Yeah.
that's what's got a lot of them through it. But it would be nice to see some form of course for people to do that teaches them about, just your tax returns. Be a
Oh
good
yeah.
place to
Oh yeah.
start, or how you actually do it and not get
Yeah.
yourself in trouble. Um,
Yeah.
would be quite useful, definitely. But it's interesting, like what you say about surrounding yourself with sort of good people, and people that are going to help you. And because it's probably going to be like a bitter pill, but I've spoken to a para
Yeah. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well, said exactly the same thing, and he fell foul,
Yeah.
I think, of surrounding himself with people initially that didn't quite
Mm.
believe in him, so would bring him some doubt. And he's managed to find the right people. And he also said a mentor in that space,
100%.
um, really, really, really helped him as well. And I have found, on this side as well, I've got mates that, never been military but run their own businesses, and they have the same problem. And it's for them, like you say, they've joined a gym, they've been now more proactive in going out and doing stuff so they can be social, because all of a sudden they realize they don't actually see a human at certain points throughout the day, because it's just them on their own running the business, and they might talk to people online or on calls, but they're not actually seeing human beings, and
Mm.
become quite
Mm.
isolated at that point. So like you say, I've gone out and gone to the gym and joined gyms to be around people again, because I think sometimes you forget that
Oh
you're
yeah.
on the
100%.
prize.
Like it's mad. I thought, like, you know what, I'm not going to be until my 60s, 70s. That's probably when I'll start looking at joining like social clubs, and you
Yeah,
know, because I need to see people. I'm like 34 and I feel like that. I'm like, "Fucking hell, like, what's going on here?" But but yeah, you do that when you're working solo, riding solo. 100%, you do need to get out there more, and being online and speaking to people is great, but you don't get the same connection, right? You don't get the same good dit, spinning the good dits and drinking the wets as you do, out it together.
yeah, yeah. I think it's something for people just to keep in mind, especially when they're
Mm.
leaving. And it's not just for the business things, if they're looking at working from home, because, oh, great, great balance of life. You're at
Yeah,
home alone a lot, and you've got to be prepared to go out and actually, make friends. You've actually got to leave,
yeah,
to
yeah.
settle in, a bit better. Um, but in terms of, the guys you're seeing now, and the guys that are coming through,
Mm.
um, the fresh new guys, with your experiences, what's like the biggest sort of advice you give people that are coming through and looking to join? Now you've been through it
Yeah.
and you're at the other side. What kind of things do you sort of give them a nudge of, just, you know?
So yeah, look, for me, I'll always go back to like the whole investment piece is like invest in yourself. And I'm not saying come to Tier 1 coaching and this is the right pathway for you, right? Because we're not for everyone, right? And that's okay. But I think people, like we sort of said, alluded to earlier, people just want this overnight success. People, I think, on social media, people are doom scrolling. They're watching these videos and they get all excited and they'll do a bit of this and do a bit of that, and then they forget about the mental side of it because they just think it's all fizz. And there's so much that can go wrong, and it could be a bit of unluck. But actually, if you can start preparing the right way. Start trying to build this. Start trying to build a robust, bulletproof body. Then 100% do it now, because you don't want to have to pay for those consequences of not going all in, and then being embossed early because you didn't build the right way, or you get through but then you break down later down the line because you didn't build that robust body. And it goes back, like, look, there's me today coaching people. I still have coaches, I still have mentors today, not because I don't know what I'm doing, but because actually these people they've been there, they've done it.
Yeah.
So invest in yourself. And when I think of investments, I always go, like, I'll ask myself like 3 questions, right? So it'll be like, if I invest in X, will it help me get from point A to point B? Will there be someone that can keep me accountable if I need it, if I'm falling off, or if I feel like I'm falling short or failing, doubting myself? And is it going to give me that desirable result? And as we know, sits with me every day, that green beret. And if that's a 3 yeses, that's a safe and sound investment, right? That's the investment I'm going to go all in on. Trust the process, and the results will do the talking.
Yeah, definitely. Good advice, I think. And I think even when you're in and you're doing it, continue that investment wherever it may be, and take the courses, do the learning.
Yeah.
It's free. Do it. I fell foul of it. I didn't take the investment when it was there, and I kick myself now. But the people that continue on that, it's up and down, but generally it continues to go up, are the ones that carry on investing throughout. And now you can invest in the beginning, you can invest while you're there, and then once you leave, you're ready to go out the other side and continue that pattern of investing.
Yeah.
Because it's not witchcraft and it's not magic. There's a very simple way of doing it, and it is investing in yourself.
100%.
Heart.
No, honestly, and the day you think you know it all is the day you know sweet fuck all, really, because I think it's very easy, like you said, the military side, we're stubborn, right? And I think some people could just get into this, a lot of hierarchy that I've dealt with, not a lot, but there's a lot of great ones, but a lot of really bad ones. And the bad ones have always got a fixed mindset. We're going to do it my way because it's the only way, and that's the right way. Well, if you can open it up to a growth mindset, that's even if you're preparing for the Royal Marines, or you're leaving, or whilst in any service, any walk of life, in fact. I only say the Royal Marines because that's where I was. But if you can have a growth mindset, and you can always understand that you don't know it all, I don't know it all, but you're there and prepared to invest in yourself, to put in that work. Well, that's like you said, that's when you continue to climb. That's when you continue to learn. And again, goes back to results. That's when the results will do the talking, and the proof will, if you trust the process and lean into it, it will all come apparent. It will all work out eventually.
Yeah, I've always refused to call myself an expert. I will always say I'm experienced.
Love that. Yeah, that's
I'm
class.
expert, I'm
Love that.
experienced, because you can't be. Everything changes. There's new stuff that happens. You need to keep learning. Need to keep trying. I'm just experienced in what I'm doing. I'm no expert, and I do question people that kind of ban that about a little bit as well, because I just, for me, like you say, you don't know it all, and as long as you accept that and you keep learning and keep investing, then you're going to continue to grow and do well. But thank you, Jim. You've been absolutely amazing. Very very good conversation. High standards as always with the Green Beret. But yeah, I think your story is a really interesting and incredible story. And like I say, hats off to you. You went through hell and back, and you now stood, on the other side, really positive, and you've got a really good kind of mind and frame of mind of how you think about it as well, which I think is something people could really sort of tap into and sort of apply to their own lives and their own sort of ways of going. Because I think that also is the big difference between, going through hell and leaving and not being great on the other side, but going through hell and leaving and being, all right and good on the other side. But yeah, I think, hats off to you, definitely, Jim, and
No,
all the best for the future.
no. Do you know what? Back at you, Katie. I think, like, thank you for having me on today. As I said at the start, I really love what you're building, and actually, like, thank you for this conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think you're exceptional with your question, the way you do things, and it actually really, like, because we're always in a fast lane, right? As I'm sure you are too, right? I never really, do as I say, not what I do, right? I never sit there and really reflect. And today's allowed me to reflect on my journey. And actually, I know I went deep at times, and but I'm happy with that. I'm cool with that because it gave me the freedom there to really really think about that and reflect on it. So no, genuinely, thanks for having me on. And I just want to say as well, look, I think as you're here, I think people should absolutely lean into you, and you could really mentor people and leave the military with everything you're doing here. I think that's great. And by all means, if anyone's leaving and listening to this and not sure where to start or setting up a business, just please drop me my Jim_Till on Instagram, or you'll find me gobbing off somewhere. I'm there to, if I can just help in any way or just have a chat, then I'm good for that, because I know how hard it is. And big respect for you too for doing what you do. I think it's great.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very, very kind. But I'll definitely put your details in the description of this podcast so people can contact you if they want a little bit of help on the way out, because you know what, if the system's not there, we'll just help each other anyway. So
Love that.
it's gonna
Cheryl, love
happen
that.
either way,
Love
either
that.
with or without. So thank you very much, Jim. And I'll wish you all the best for the future and see you soon, hopefully.
Absolutely. You too. Thank you very much. Cheers.